that will pay you for the rest of your life. Make sure that you take your time and learn what you need to learn. Pace yourself. Do not compare yourself to anyone else's progress. Always keep a winning mind frame, and you will do very well in this industry. Upon finishing this video, you should have a very good understanding of the following questions. Read through them quietly to yourself. As you are taking notes, make sure to pause this video in order to answer these questions. Now let's get started on the history of Forex. Starting with the bartering system. In the bartering system, people exchanged goods for services. People typically traded things such as livestock, skills, talents, grains, and agriculture, and even people. With the bartering system, people traded things they didn't need for things they wanted or needed. For example, the hunter might trade 10 rabbits to the carpenter for the carpenter's promise to fix his roof. The bartering system may have been very easy to establish. However, it was very much rigged with issues. For instance, what if you had something that no one else wanted? It would be very hard to exchange. The limited shelf life also presented an issue. If you were trading livestock or agriculture, their condition depended on their age and condition. For example, you wouldn't get very much money with a bunch of dying fruits and vegetables. Trying to transport those types of goods and services would put a huge demand on the trader. They would have to travel with a large barrage of people in order to care for their property that they wanted to exchange. Many times, goods would spoil and animals would often die during transport. There was also the issue of fairness in exchange. Both people would have to agree about what each wanted before the exchange could be done. Another issue was trying to do business in small increments. Most things had to be traded in bulk. Eventually, the bartering system was abandoned for a more intermediate commodity system. In ancient China, Africa, and India, they used cowrie shells. Trade in Japan was based on the koku, which was a unit of rice. The shekel was a specific weight of barley. Contrary to popular belief, precious metals have rarely been used outside of large societies in the form of trade due to them being very scarce and hard to mine. Gold in particular has only been used as currency for a few relatively brief periods in history. Money in the shape of small knives and arrows made out of bronze were used in China during the Zhou dynasty. This form of money was quickly abandoned over time for something less prickly shaped and in the form of a circle, which later became some of the first coins. The first minted coins were created in Lydia in 700 BC, which is now modern-day Turkey. And by minted, I mean coins that were already pre-weighed and marked to show how much they weighed. These coins were made from electrum, which was a mixture of silver and gold that occurs naturally. These coins had a lot of advantages. Now people could actually trade what they wanted for what they needed and exchange coinage rather than goods and services that had to be agreed upon. Coins were also easier to transport rather than transporting all your goods and services under the bartering system. Uniform coins also meant that merchants did not have to use scales to measure metal, which is a very time-consuming process. At a glance, they could determine literally how much money was on the table. This type of currency exchange had large impacts all around the world. Countries began adopting the coin form of currency in order to participate in foreign trade. There were, however, disadvantages to the coin system. For instance, coins' weight could change over time due to normal wear and tear. Also, there were criminals who would intentionally file down currencies, which was an offense punishable by death. And also, coins could be counterfeited, unlike in the bartering system. Lastly, coins were also very heavy to carry around in large quantities. Also, it was dangerous to carry these large amounts of money. The Chinese invented paper money in the form of notes, or IOUs, around 700 AD. It became too cumbersome to carry around coins of different increments and weights. Eventually, the people of China allowed private institutions to store their gold and silver coins in exchange for certificates that correlated directly to what they personally had stored. These paper notes could then be easily exchanged back into electrum. The advantages to paper was it was very easy to transport due to it being light. Foreign trade became even easier now that you could give specific denominations of what you wanted to exchange. When Marco Polo visited China, he brought the idea of paper money back to Europe with him, where at the time the Italian florin, which was a type of coin, was universally accepted. Unfortunately, these papers could also be easily counterfeited. While these notes were supposed to be a representation of the money being stored, these institutions frequently issued more notes than they had gold and silver, which ultimately hurt the public's confidence in these institutions.